Mr. Sherman Studio.
Hey young leaders, Mr. Sherman here. For today's video we're going to be looking at some of our social studies assignments, and we're going to start that out with the litter monster story. So here we go, the litter monster story by Lindsay Kunster. This is the litter monster. He eats everything in sight. He thrives on trash and pollution, and he never turns off the light. He would rather throw his trash on the road than put it in the garbage can. He wastes things that he could reuse. He leaves his water on even when he's not using it. The litter monster thinks it is a way of life, but really it's not. Excuse me, I say. Why is it that you don't care? Don't you see what you're doing down here and up there? You see, litter monster, I used to be just like you. I used to be wasteful and want everything brand new, until one day all the pollution caused a cough that would not go away. I tried to take medicine, but I still coughed night and day. It all changed when I learned about 3 very special R's: reduce, reuse, and recycle. They're really not that hard. The first R is reduce, which means to use less and not waste, like turning off the water after you've squirted out your toothpaste. The second R is reuse, which means to use something over and over rather than throw it out. Reusing items will make the earth a cleaner place without a doubt. The third R is recycle, which means to use materials from old items to make something new, like recycling bottles, cans, and newspapers. It's very easy to do. The little girl begged, "Will you please, litter monster, give these 3 special R's a try? With your help, there will be less pollution and litter on our roads and in our neighborhoods." The litter monster sat and listened to what the little girl had to say. Then he stood and shouted, "I will change my ways today. I will no longer throw my garbage out of the window from my car. I will reuse things that I can. I will recycle old items." After that, the little girl and the litter monster became dear friends. They'll follow the 3 R's every day. On our next page, we have an activity that has some Earth Day words. So what it wants us to do, it wants us to think up 2 words, and we're going to write each one of those words, one in one magnifying glass, one in the other magnifying glass. Then we're going to make a drawing of that word. Let's do a drawing of whatever word we pick, and then below it we want to write what it means. What does that word mean? On our next page, we have a fun little word hunt that has to do with Earth Day. It says, "Hooray for Earth Day." And I'm going to read all the words that we have there in our word box. We have earth, recycle, plastic, reuse, litter, paper, reduce, green, glass. And you guys have fun finding all those words in the word find. On our next page, we have some different activities, and we're going to decide whether they're helpful or harmful to the earth. The activities are down at the bottom. We can cut them out and glue them on our paper, or we can just write it down in pencil if you just want to write it below the what it is. But we'll go through each one of these activities. If it's helpful, we'll put it on the left side of our paper, and if it's harmful, we'll put it on our right side. Okay? And I'm going to go through those behaviors now. Let's see here. Picking up trash at a park. Leaving the water running while washing dishes. Pouring chemicals down the drain. Planting a tree. Donating toys. Leaving the lights on when you leave your house. Recycling cans and bottles. Dumping waste into the ocean. Taking shorter showers. Drink from reusable bottles. Drive to the store instead of walk. Throw trash out of the window. So we'll go through and we'll take all of those activities and we'll put them in either the helpful or the harmful side. Our next paper is about Earth Day as well, and it has some cool activities. Right here on the side we have a circle. It says draw one way that you can help the earth. So think of some way that you yourself can help the earth and draw a picture of it in the circle. Below that there's a little text box that says, "I'm thankful for the earth because ... So after that, and those lines right there, you want to write why you're thankful for the earth. Okay? Go back up to the top. We have a little square. It says write 3 things you can recycle. So think of 3 things that you know that you can recycle and put them down in that box. And then down in the bottom right corner, it says, how can you keep the earth clean? So think of some ways that you can help keep the earth clean. And we'll write them down in that box. On our next page, it actually it's going to be like a two-parter because it wants us to go out on a nature walk. So it wants us to go outside of the house and walk around. It could be anywhere, just in our yard, on our porch, anywhere that's not inside the house. And as we go through there, we want to think of 4 things, and we're going to write them down here. It says, I see. We'll write down some things that we see. What are some cool nature things you've seen on your hike? Below that, it says, I feel. What do you feel? Is the wind cold today? Is the sun hot? Up at the top, on the right, it says, I smell. What are some things you smell? Do you smell some of the fresh spring flowers, or maybe the water running there on your property? And then down at the bottom right, it says, I hear. What are some things you hear? Do you hear the birds chirping? Do you hear some insects or the wind? We'll write those down in that bottom right box. On our next page, we have 2 boxes, and it wants us to think about reducing, reusing, and recycling. It says, draw a picture to illustrate or write about each section. And our first section says, did you know that one person throws away over 1,000 pounds of trash a year? Americans throw away enough waste to form a line of filled up garbage trucks to reach the moon. So down there on the bottom, it wants you to draw a picture or an illustration about what it just said there. On the next one, it says, everyone can help make the earth a cleaner and healthier place, just making a few small changes in their lives. What changes can you make? So it wants you to draw some pictures of some changes you can make in your life to be a better citizen here on earth. Our next page asks, how can we reduce waste? We can reduce waste by using less of things we don't need. For example, turn off the water and use the lights when you're not using them. And down there in the box, it wants you to draw a picture of a way that you can reduce waste. It says, how can we reuse items? Many items can be reused rather than thrown away. Reuse items means to use over and over again. Instead of throwing away a glass jar, you can wash it out and use it again for another purpose. And then it wants you to draw a picture of you using something again, something that you would use again. Our next page says, how can we recycle? When you recycle, you use materials from old items to make new items. You can recycle glass, paper, cans, plastic, and even electronics. Did you know that the plastic bottles you recycle could one day be used to make a playground? And then it wants you to draw a picture down there of how we could recycle items, or what a recycled item might look like. On our next page, we have a diagram. In the middle, it has the earth, and coming out of it, there's all sorts of little thought bubbles and word blurbs and things. And it says, our earth. Write words that describe what the earth means to you. So in all those little word blurbs, you want to write what the earth means to you. Our next page has another diagram, but in the middle of this one, we see a trash can with a monster hiding in there. And I'm betting you it's that old litter monster, because at the top it says, how to not be a litter monster. So in the word blurbs around that one, we want to go through and write what are some ways that we can not be a litter monster? How can we beat that old litter monster? And on our last page, it has 3 sections, one for reduce, one for reuse, and one for recycle. And it just wants us to write some ways there that we could reduce, ways that we could reuse, and ways that we could recycle. Thank you guys for sticking through another video. I'll see you back at the next one. Have a good one.